Welcome everybody to the Garlet's High Performance Garage channel. It is Sunday. Oh God, I fucking hate Sunday. It's a bunch of shit. Anyhow, I just wanted to make a video on jerry rigging. Some of you may have some other names to call that, but basically it's a half-assed way of doing something, you know, like on your vehicle, mainly on vehicles. You know, people will weld things that are completely fucking retarded, like exhaust. People just, I don't know why, some people just completely rig up that exhaust and just weld it together half-assed and weld it to the floor and wrap wires like mechanics wire around everything. And oh my God, that'll work. That's awesome. You know, and then they never change it. Because I know a lot of the old farmers around here, and they'll do that. They'll rig something up and, you know, to get them by until they can afford to get what they need to get to fix it right. And that's when that's a farmer does that. You got some of these people out here, they'll rig it up to get them by, and then it's still getting them by. Fuck it, we just won't fix it. Perfect example here. I'll show you one thing. Now I did this because, I mean, I can get it apart easy, but I just didn't have nothing else. And it's fine with me. I mean, if you don't like it, that's fine. Now I put a light bar on this, and I put these on there with screws. Now, that's just a 2x4 there, you know. And I have a tag to up. It's a tag that's not in use anymore. It's expired. It's gone. You know. I put this on to hold this light bar on here because I like the light bar. I like the idea of having that extra little bit of tail light on here. And I can't get the reverse lights to come on. I guess I don't have it hooked up right or whatever. But that's fine. It's going to be tagged as a street rod, so it doesn't really matter. And like, I threw it away, but I replaced my gasket for my gas tank neck here. It comes out of the cab. I bought this new. And I had a hell of a time getting on there. You got to spray them with like WD-40 or PB Blaster or something like that to get them to go over that neck. I got a locking gas cap on it. It was on there when I bought it. But it still works good, so I'm keeping it on there. And the person, well, the old one I took off, whoever painted this truck in the past, they know how to paint, obviously, because it's a pretty good paint job. Seeing how it's hard to say how old it is, because there's a lot of body work in this truck. Cab corners and rockers were replaced. The floors was replaced in this thing. And they were actually did right. But like, they didn't finish the rockers. I mean, they pop riveted that shit in there. Now the front's welded. Looks like they squeezed a fucking chicken and let it shit on there. And, you know, just lots of other bullshit, like that half-ass cover on that dash pad. that dash pad's probably shitty. And they rigged up gauges in the dash that are not original. They're like them store-bought gauges. And they just hooked them up. Some of them don't even work. Like, I don't think the volts gauges work in it. But whatever. And like my door panels, I made homemade door panels. That's a little jerry rig right there. That'll be a pain in the ass to take the fuck off if something happens to that window in that door. Or the window don't crank, or the latch falls off on the inside. Then you have to take all those fucking sheet metal screws out I got in there, which will be a pain in the fucking dick. But, you know, that's on me. That's what I did. And but anyhow, back to this. gasket here. The guy could obviously paint. Didn't like the bodywork so much from all the putty that I've dug out of this thing and tried to make right to my standards. The old gasket in here was painted with the truck. They painted it. And you can see it's got an edge there where the old one sat. I had to take a razor blade and cut it to get it to come out. Plus I ended up cutting it from the inside anyway because you couldn't get it. Another thing I'm going to show you real quick. I put a voltage regulator on this thing because it's sucking the life out of my battery. And the alternator I tested was good. I put some belts on. Well, let me show you how that old voltage regulator was held on. Now, this right here is the ultimate jerry rig. I've never seen anything like this. First of all, they put rubber sleeves in the holes that go in the radiator support to hold it on, which I still have in there. I put different bolts in it. Mind the sawdust. These are the bolts they had through it. And I have no clue what the holy hell this bunch of shit is. But these are coated with rubber, and they're like brass on the inside. They had those. I guess they were stuck to that rubber sleeve that went through the hole. They had those on all three of those bolts. I lost the other one. But why would you do that? I mean, the whole thing turned when I tried to turn them out. I ended up taking a pair of pliers and trying to hang on to them. I had a hell of a time getting them out of there. Made me cuss and turn into a crazy person taking them off. And it's like, why? Why would you do that? I mean, could you not take one of these bolts, or perhaps go to the hardware store and get some bolts? Because it doesn't matter if that thing's mounted in rubber or not. You actually want it not mounted in rubber, but I don't know why they did that. It's really stupid. Never seen anything like that before. So, I got a big mess here I got to clean up. But anyway, I just thought you'd all like to see that. And it's like, another example is the spare tire on my Grand Marquis out there. When I bought the car, I looked in the trunk. I saw the spare. The jack, the tire iron, everything's still there. Okay. Had like a scissor jack. You put it under the frame there and you jack it up. Using that tire iron, which would have taken you probably an eternity to turn that scissor jack to get that thing up off the ground. So you'd have been there for quite a while. So I put tools in the car so I could change the tire with a little more speed than that. I put a speed wrench and a flex handle, whole toolbox full of tools in there. And I had all kinds of metric sockets so I could do this. Plus you'll have to kick the tires off the back of it, or the wheels, because they sit so tight into the hub. And after a little bit of running, they seat in there so tight you can't get them loose. So it's like, makes you cuss and raise hell and bitch and moan about everything. So, and I noticed on the spare that spare was just bald as a newborn baby's ass. I think a newborn baby's ass would have had more hair on it than what that thing had tread on it. It was just smooth. And that's what some people do. They'll just ride that spare. And I understand you don't have money to buy a tire. And you got to get by with what you got. That guy rode that spare. He had to have rode that thing for a couple months to make it bald like that. I think what it is, he hit something with it on the passenger side. There's a big crease clear down the side of it. Plus that mirror was busted. I had to buy a new mirror for that side. And the window motor, I had to buy a new one for the passenger side door to get it all to work again. Because if I'm going to have power windows and something, it's got to work. So it ain't going to work. I don't want it, but I can fix it. So I fixed it, put a new motor in, and whatever. But that's just what I'm talking about. People do dumb shit like that. They rig stuff together. I mean, I rigged this bed together. I'll probably never haul anything in it, but I got it set up to haul something. I'm going to have to put a couple more screws in the sides so they hold up, because they're not bolted there with too many. I got wood screws holding them things in there. So I'll have to think before I really haul anything, or think about what I'm going to haul in here. If I do haul anything, I probably won't, because it's going to have street rod tags, and the state of Maryland, buddy, they'll nail you. DOT will come after your ass. If they see that you have street rod tags on your truck and you got a big load of something in the bed of it, oh yeah, they'll come after you. They'll fine you. Then they'll want you to get the truck inspected, and then they'll make you give up them tags. Oh yeah, you have big penalties on you and all that bullshit. Because why wouldn't, this state screw you over? Because that's what they're known for. This state sucks. But anyhow, that's what I just wanted to touch down on jerry rigging and all that shit. And everything I have is rigged like that. Not quite that bad. It's rigged up to where I know I can get it off again, or I know I can fix it, or I know it'll hold for a certain period of time. And sometimes I forget about things, but I can still figure it out for myself. I'm a problem solver. I'm not a friggin' idiot. But even though I live in a place with a bunch of slack-jawed morons, they're not all like that, but there is a great deal around here that's like that. And I'm not saying I'm the greatest or I'm the smartest, but when it comes to common sense, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I know me. So, I know me. That's stupid. That was dumb. I know common sense. So, that's, as far as I'm concerned these days, that's better than any book smarts thing. The people that don't have common sense are these book smart fuckers running around like those assholes on Wall Street. Walk out in the middle of the fucking road because they're counting their fucking money on their phone. Oh, look who I ripped off today, and walk into traffic and get themselves murdered. Get run over by a fucking car. But who cares? Who cares about them assholes? So, God, don't get me started about that. Everybody's enjoying their $5 a gallon gas. So, everybody needs to. I'm just gonna say one thing about that. Everybody needs to stay their ass at home. Buy the essentials. Go to work if you're working. Go to work. Come straight home. Eat at home. Don't spend any extra money. Keep as much of it as you can. Because the storm's not over. And it's going to get worse before it gets better, I'm afraid. I saw them around here changing the dials inside the pumps at one gas station. They're changing it so it's capable to do double digits, like $10 a gallon for gas. That is just fucking crazy. That is bullshit. To, our rich fucking politicians, they don't have to worry about it because they're trucked back and forth via taxpayer money to work every day. And most of them don't even have to show up in Washington. 3/4 of them don't even go. That's why you see the fucking Chamber of Congress empty half the time. If you do watch that horse shit on TV, sometimes I'll go to it and it pisses me off and I end up turning the channel because I'm just aggravated and disgusted with this. You all voted for change because you didn't want an orange dipshit in office, and instead you got an old white-haired fuck that doesn't know his ass from his elbow in there now. So really, I don't know what to do. I don't know who to vote for next time. I mean, if Trump gets in there, if he gets nominated, I'll vote for him on the facts that he had us on our own oil and stuff. But let's continue on what I was saying yesterday about the high gas prices and stuff. They changed the dials on the pumps around here. So everybody hunker down, man. Bite on the stick. Buy one of those mouth guards and boxers use. And bite on that son of a bitch hard. Because we are in for it. Of course, I have a few hopeless guys I work with. You know, they're not really hopeless. They were talking shit today about, it'll never go below $5 a gallon again. I think it'll have to. I think this is a punishment that's going to go on for a while. Then the price is going to come back down. It has to. It's got to. Because they just can't continue this gouge on us. So, I mean, we're all fed up and we're all pissed off about this. And I'm quite sick of it because I just got a raise at work, and I'm grateful for the raise. It's fantastic, but then they jack up everything, you know, and it just takes away from the raise that you got. And it's hard. It's very hard to make it. It is so hard to make it. And I'm just kind of wondering what the hell we're all going to do here soon. Because this can't continue. And you know, we have elected politicians. These politicians, they work for us. Sorry about the mess, but when you work in something a good bit, you tend to have a big mess going on. So, but anyway, I'd never in my wildest dreams would ever have thought that gasoline would ever reach that kind of price. I don't understand, and I don't. Well, I do understand. It's because it's just gouging. That's all it is. It's just a big gouge. And a lot of people don't understand that shit. And they gotta, like OPEC, they gotta blame everything. They gotta blame this price gouge on everything under the sun. And whenever you turn up those prices at the pump, everything else follows it. Because like I said before, these people, truck drivers and stuff, they're just going to pass this cost on to you. So it doesn't really matter. They're just going to pass it on to you. When you see stuff like, I look at Google a good bit, I'll see news on there, and it's like they're happy. All the news channels, they act like they're happy about, oh my God, gas prices hit another record high today. And they sound all optimistic and proud of that. And it's like, I'm not proud of that shit. I'm disgusted. I am just downright fucking livid about it. You know, and they keep saying, oh, there's no end in sight. Where will it stop? Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that you're making enough money that you can afford it and you don't have to worry about it. So I'm thinking, and it's like, there's a guy, I forget his name. His name is Robert something. He's got videos on YouTube. He talks about inequality in our race of working people and ways to stop these big corporations from gouging us to death. And everything he says makes sense. And everything that has happened in the past, he's been on, I think he was on He was in Jimmy Carter's administration. He was in, I think, George, or no, he was in Bill Clinton's, and then he was in Obama's. And when he was in Bill Clinton's, that's how they kept the gas down in the 90s. That's how they kept the gas prices down. They kept them from gouging us back then because they were going to do it. But they didn't do it because he flooded the market with our surplus. We have a hell of a surplus of oil we're sitting on. Because when Donald Trump was president, he opened up a lot of drilling places, and they were producing, actually overproducing. They were hitting way over the mark. We were using our own stuff. We weren't buying any imported oil. We were deporting oil and selling it overseas. We are like the biggest place to produce oil on the planet. And I mean, I just don't see why, other than the price gouge, that why we're not doing this. This is the answer. This is the solution to the problem. If we up our production here at home and sell it, start selling it, we'll start flooding the market with our surplus, and we up our production, it would probably take about a month or two to catch up. If you produce over, so many millions of barrels a day, and it would definitely force the market to bring the price down. It would have to. It would have to do it. It'll force them to do it. And this guy, this Robert guy, he's one of them types of guys that he knows what he's talking about. He knows exactly what to do to rein in these corporations that are dirty, and he knows how to rein in these Wall Street fat cat assholes. Because what they're doing is Wall Street, everybody in Wall Street, all these executives like Goldman Sachs and all them, they're all doing stock buybacks is what they're doing. And what they're doing is they're buying back these stocks, and they're a lot cheaper than what they was when they sold them. So they're going to wait, and they're going to sell them again. And when they sell them again, they sell them off, they'll make even more money. But right now, this extra money that they're making, they're sliding it off to their, executives and their CEOs. That's who is benefiting from this. So, you're going to see all these places do stock buybacks. And that's what they're all doing. One does it, they all do it. They're all following each other here in this. And it's ridiculous. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. And people in Congress should not be allowed to play the stock market while they're in office. They need to pass that law too. All our politicians, including the president, should not have any stock options while they are serving their country and being our public servants. Because this is craziness. This is just lunacy. This is greed and gouging at the highest level. And the way to bring that down is to rein in these assholes and do more oversight and flood the market with our surplus. That's what we got to do. So unfortunately, we're stuck. And Joe Biden's got this crazy environmental agenda where, these people think that electric cars are going to save the world. Cars aren't the problem. Because, the planet has to have carbon in order to survive. We all have to have it in order to survive. Because whenever we fart and belch, we produce it. One person probably produces as much carbon as, a car for a day or two. And you're never going to be carbon neutral. It's just a fact. And if you don't believe it, just take a lesson in third grade science class. Because that's where I learned all this shit. Because plants thrive on CO2. They turn it into oxygen. We breathe it. We're like an endless cycle. We breathe it. We breathe carbon monoxide, or we breathe oxygen. We produce carbon monoxide, which is a form of CO2. Cars produce carbon dioxide, which is another form of CO2. Power plants produce that same. But in America, in the United States, and in Canada, and anybody that's part of the Paris Climate Accord, all their power plants have to comply with that standard to collect all of their carbon. And they do that, except for China. China is the biggest polluter. And if we're doing all this, this is going to be for nothing. If China and India and Indonesia and all them other places don't jump on this and do it too, we're beating a dead horse. You might as well take a big shit in your fucking hat and put it on your head, because that's about all you're going to accomplish with this. If everybody doesn't jump on and do their part, this can't work. And forcing all of us to buy electric cars is not the answer right now. I mean, if you want to buy an electric car, go for it. I don't have anything against you getting one. And our power grid, can it handle it? No, it can't. And besides, you're charging your car with energy from a power plant that's burning coal anyway and natural gas. So you're not saving shit. You're just doing something stupid. And people are so naive. You got these people that are diehard, Prius drivers to start with, and they're all about the environment and stuff. Well, that's awesome. That's great. But, like it or not, as long as those people that are all for these electric cars, as long as they have cell phones and they eat and they fart and they buy things at the store and they buy material things, they're contributing just as much as the rest of us. And they can't sit around and say how they're just pro-environment and you guys driving these cars that take gasoline and diesel fuel, you're just killing the planet, you're an asshole. That's not how it is. That's not how it works. Get your facts straight before you come running after somebody that's got an old car that sucks gas and you're raising hell and bitching and screaming at him, or some guy out here that's blowing black smoke out of his diesel, dusting you out. He's just being a dick. That's just because he can be. You sit around and bitch and moan about it. Fuck you. You're just as bad as that person. Buying an electric car. The only way an electric car is going to even out and produce less CO2 than a regular fuel burning vehicle is if you run both those vehicles, one with a gas engine, one that's electric. If you run them side by side, years and years and years, and you run that electric car 400,000 miles versus the gasoline one 400,000 miles, you're going to beat that gasoline one eventually. But that's only in the really long run. And if you're not willing to do that, which electric cars don't last that long, those batteries will have to be replaced. And by the time it comes time to replace those batteries, which will probably be after about 4 or 5 years of running, because the charge is going to get less and less each time you charge it. It's going to get less. And what's going to happen there is then you're going to have to buy batteries that are $7,000 and $8,000 and $10,000, probably more, probably $15,000 and $20,000 for a car that's only worth about $3,000 if you're lucky by the time you're done using the hell out of it. So you got to take that in consideration. And you can break down those batteries and take that stuff out of there, but the lithium's worthless. After you use it up, it's worthless. It's gone. It's like burning coal. After you burn it all up, it's gone. We're done. So these pro-electric car people, they need to back up and check themselves, because just because you have that and you think you're saving the planet, you're not. That is not the answer right now. Cars are not our problem. Our problem is China and burning all as much coal. We're even shipping coal to them. Believe me, I know. I work in a coal mine. I do this shit every day. I help uncover coal. I help take it to the yard. It's hauled out of there. It's taken over and washed. It's put on trains, and that's where it heads to. It heads to China. It heads onto a boat and goes to China. And it's got chemicals added in it, It's ready to burn, buddy. And it'll burn very hot. I've seen the pile down there steam and smoke and get hot spots in it. So it'll burn. It'll burn pretty hot. So, but anyhow, that's all I have to say. I'm just disgusted. Like I said, stay home as much as you can. Do not go out if you don't have to. That'll help drag the price of this down and get us back to normal. I'm all for paying for $2 a gallon gas. That doesn't bother me. But when it gets to $5 and above, even $4, I have trouble paying $4. But it's still better than 10. And they're predicting 10 to 15. I hope I'm wrong. I hope to hell I'm fucking wrong. I hope this ends fast. I hope this bullshit ends as soon as possible, because none of us can afford it. You're talking knocking a lot of the middle class down into poverty. And I've worked too hard all my life to be where I'm at, and I'm not very far. I don't have much. I have a couple old cars. I live in a trailer and have a rickety garage that's fallen down. That's all I got. I don't have anything. I don't own anything, really. And, life's too short to have to sit around and deal with some rich asshole trying to fleece you to death. So, all of you take care of yourselves, and hopefully we'll all make it through this bullshit together. And we'll all see each other on the other side. So everybody have a good one. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Later.